Chapter 71. Rumors you are listening at novelfull.audio. Translator. Noodletown Translated Editor. Noodletown Translated. Hi there, Mian, my little sister. It's only been a few days since we last met, but you've gotten even prettier. Hua Xiqian was dressed in a mulberry blazer with black dress pants. Each article of clothing on him was from a luxury designer brand. Unlike Qin Chu, his taste in clothing leaned toward the ostentatious, preferring brighter colors such as pink and dark purple. Hua Xiqian was 29 years old and fairly good-looking in a gentlemanly kind of way. This, along with the fact that he was the Hua Corporation's vice president, made him quite popular in high-society circles. He was also supposedly the ultimate playboy. His female companions ranged from celebrities and international supermodels to cultured heiresses. He had had more girlfriends than he had fingers. He frequently appeared in entertainment magazines. Nonetheless, the public opinion of him was very high. He was said to be the future helmsman of the Hua Corporation. Evidently, despite being an adopted son, his status had exceeded that of the siblings born by Hua Zhenghai's mistress. Wherever he went, Hua Xiqian wore bedroom eyes and a fox-like smile. He was well-liked by women. The young nurses at the obstetrics and gynecology department were all enamored and stole glances at him. How many times have I said this? Don't call me that. I'm not your little sister. Hua Mian's reaction was uncharacteristically cold. Noel.n, alright, Hua Mian. I have a favor to ask of you today. I have a female friend who wants to get a gynecology checkup, but your hospital's specialist appointments are really hard to make. Luckily, I remembered that you worked in the OB/GYN department. Can you ask around and see if you can get an appointment for her? No. I'm just an intern nurse, and I don't have that kind of authority. Mr. Hua, with your influence, you can go straight to the director. With that, Hua Mian turned around and walked into the OB/GYN department examination room, not paying him any more attention. Hua Xiqian, on the other hand, didn't seem upset at all. He only gave a dry smile. As the vice president of the Hua Corporation, he could obviously get an express pass at any hospital. There was really no need for him to ask a little gopher like Hua Mian. However, he especially liked making contact with her. Whenever he saw her, his mood would unexplainably brighten. Right then, a woman with delicate features walked out from the OB/GYN attending's outpatient room. She looped her hands affectionately around Hua Xiqian's arm. Xiqian, the doctor said I've caught a chill. He told me to eat less seafood. It looks like we can't go to the beach during the holidays anymore. That's alright, I'll warm you up when we get home. Oh, stop it, you. Heh, you're always toying with me, the woman whined playfully. After that, the two turned around and walked away. Sister Hua, who was that just now? One of the nurses, Huang Yu asked, intrigued. He's pretty good looking, and he's wearing designer clothing. He's clearly some kind of rich boy. He's a friend of a friend of a friend. I don't know him well either. Hua Mian never really liked talking about the Hua family. Huang Yu, you dummy. Don't you read the newspaper? Wasn't that Prince Hua? As expected from one of Sea City's 4 princes, he is both handsome and rich. He's so much better looking in person than in his photos. The only downside is that he's a bit of a playboy, one of the other younger nurses said. 4 princes. I've never heard of them, Huang Yu said, perplexed. That's why I said you're from the countryside. The 4 princes are considered the most eligible bachelors in high society, all supposedly unmarried. Hua Xiqian is ranked second. From what I've heard, the 3rd prince is the 2nd son of Southern City Corporation's Wei family, Wei Liao, and the 4th is the son of the president of Beiyang Automotive, Shen Mingxi. Then who's the first? Huang Yu was even more curious. The first. That person is something else. He's also my dream boyfriend. He's our city's most handsome and wealthy super crown prince, Su Yu. Ha! Su Yu. I think I've heard of him. Isn't his dad the guy who's ranked in Forbes' top 5? The one who started off in private banking. They say his family's bank has now spread across the country, Huang Yu said, fascinated. Yeah, but Prince Su owns his own entertainment company, specializing in creating superstars. Out of the 4 most popular divas in the entertainment scene right now, 2 belong to Prince Su's label. Hua Mian listened quietly, not interjecting. She had no interest in these things whatsoever. Just then, an older nurse walked in and threw them a look of disdain. What 4 princes? She said, you're way behind the times. Right now, the hottest new bachelor is the prince of the GK Corporation. Rumors say he's been back in the country for nearly a month now and has already secretly taken over the company. But he's apparently very modest and doesn't accept any interviews from the media. I heard that he's super good. Looking. I really wish I could see him for myself. Really? GK's heir. Why haven't I heard about him? One of the young nurses muttered. Huang Yu, on the other hand, interjected excitedly, I know that GK's prince went to second high school. My older sister went there as well, just a year after him. I know that his name is Qin Chu, but they said that he left the country for a long time. Did he come back? Why hasn't there been any news? With that, Huang Yu tugged at Hua Mian. Miss Hua, didn't you go to second high school as well? You should know more, right? Come on, tell us about this prince of GK. I really want to know. My sister once said that Qin Chu was super hot. Chapter 72. Opinion. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Translator. Noodletown translated editor. Noodletown translated. For a moment, Hua Mian didn't even know how to answer the question. I don't know him that well. Not wanting to cause a fuss, she merely glossed over the subject. Upon hearing this, the 3 other nurses all seemed a little disappointed. While the OB/GYN department wasn't busy, Hua Mian went to the VIP suite to see her brother. However, at the door, she ran into the family of the patient from the other day. It was the mother of another boy injured in the vehicle piled up. She was a plump middle-aged woman dressed in a conspicuous red dress. Hey, wait a minute. What is it? Hua Mian turned her head to face her. I heard you wouldn't settle the matter in private. Is that true? Yes. Did they not give you enough money? How much did they give you? The middle-aged woman's eyes shone shrewdly. She seemed to be trying to get Hua Mian to disclose some information that could benefit her. However, Hua Mian wasn't an idiot. No, I didn't accept the compensation. Didn't accept the compensation. Why not? You couldn't make a deal. Let me tell you, you should take the opportunity and ask for a bit more. I heard your brother's injury was in the head. You can exaggerate it, say that he suffered permanent damage and might become a retard, or that he can't take care of himself anymore. They'd give you a fair bit more that way. With that, the woman intentionally lowered her voice. Did you know? I heard that the kid's parents work in the Ministry of Finance. Not only are they rich, they have power too. I will take regular legal actions and sue him. I won't take any compensation. The perpetrator needs to be held responsible. With that, Hua Mian turned around and entered the suite, not willing to continue the conversation. The middle-aged woman was left stunned for a moment. Then, she rolled her eyes and spat, is this girl's head rusted or something? Inside the suite. Since he woke up, aside from looking a bit sallow, Jing Zhixin had been doing quite well. Hua Mian hired a caretaker, who takes turns watching over him with their mother. She herself often came by as well. You look better than you did yesterday. Walking inside, Hua Mian smiled. Sis. Jing Zhixin returned the smile after seeing Hua Mian. Weren't you on duty? What are you doing here? Their mother's tone was still cold. The department isn't busy today, so I took some time off to come take a look. How are you, Jixin? Does anything feel wrong today? Hua Mian touched her brother's forehead. Jing Jixin shook his head. Nope, I'm great. Don't worry, sis. What did they say about the compensation? I heard those people contacted you, Yang Meirong asked while knitting. Hua Mian paused, then replied, Mom, I gave up the compensation. We have enough money for the surgery anyway, and Jixin's procedure was successful. So, I didn't accept the compensation. I want to go to court, so the perpetrator will receive the punishment he deserves. Otherwise, he'll deal with us with money and continue evading the law. My little brother nearly died. Whenever I think of that, I just can't let it go. She had thought that her mother would give her a verbal lashing. After all, the lawyer offered her a hefty compensation. However, to her surprise, her mother didn't. She only gave her a grudging glance and asked, didn't they say that the guy had a powerful background? If we sue and lose, wouldn't we lose more than we gain? We won't, we can't lose. The perpetrator was racing inside a school campus, not to mention drinking and speeding. Having caused such a serious incident, he's obviously in the wrong. We won't lose unless the judge is completely blind. Anyway, even if his family has enough power to suppress the incident, I can always go to the media, or post it online in forums. Basically, once this incident gets public attention, the authorities won't stand by and let it happen. I believe that, no matter how powerful they are, they can't control everything. After Hua Mian had finished, Jing Jixin gave a sweet, toothy smile. Sis, you're so smart. You've thought of everything. Yang Meirong, on the other hand, rolled her eyes at Hua Mian. If you've already decided, then sort this thing out, she said. But, how are you going to pay back the money you borrowed? Wouldn't it be a pity to give up the compensation completely? With your crappy salary, who knows how long it would take for you to pay it back? You sure know how to make a mess of things. I'll tell you now, I won't give you a penny. You know what our family is like. We're dirt poor. The only thing you can do is go and ask that blasted biological father of yours to lend you some. But that's impossible. You know how much he despises you. Chapter 73. Penance. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Translator. Noodletown Translated Editor. Noodletown translated, Mom, you might not know much about the law. If we do things the normal way and they lose the lawsuit, they'll have to give compensation too. It's just that it might not be as much as they would give for a private settlement. Normally speaking, they have to provide Jixin's medical fees. All we're giving up on is the compensation for the so-called nutritional fees and emotional damages. We won't ask for too much. I don't want to use my little brother's well-being as leverage to get rich. Once we win the case, they still have to give us the basic things. So don't worry about the money. Sis, you make it sound so complicated. How could Mom understand? Why don't you just tell her, if we settle privately, they might give us 1 million yuan in compensation. But if we go through the court process, after the ruling, they might only have to give us 300,000 to cover the medical fees. It's quite a difference in terms of money. Is that right? After Jing Jixin had finished, Hua Mian nodded. Yang Meirong didn't say much, but lowered her head and said quietly, I hope everything can go smoothly. Hua Mian could tell that, even though her mother didn't put on a good face, she still agreed with her way of doing things. Right then, a knock sounded at the door. Hua Mian was beyond nervous. She was really afraid that Qin Chu would suddenly come to the hospital without warning. If that happened, and her mom saw Qin Chu, it would make the situation unthinkably tense. The person who walked in after the knock allowed Hua Mian to let out a sigh of relief. It was Ning Ziyuan. Brother Ziyuan, Jing Jixin said quietly. Ning Ziyuan was wearing a white lab coat as if he had just gotten off from a shift. In his hand was a fruit basket. He first looked at Huamian, a mix of emotions on his face. Then, he greeted Huamian's mother, Auntie. What are you doing here? Didn't you two break up? Yang Meirong said with a stern expression. I came to see Jixin. He's recovering well. Get well soon, Ning Ziyuan said, setting down the fruit basket. Thank you, Brother Ziyuan. Jing Jixin smiled. Mian. Gazing at Huamian, he opened his mouth but didn't seem to know what to say. Yeah. Can you come out for a moment? I have something to tell you. Whatever it is, you can say it here. My mom and brother aren't outsiders. After she had gone to Ning Ziyuan's new home the other day, ran into him sleeping with another woman, and was refused the money she had paid for the down payment, Huamian no longer had a shred of feelings left for him. Before this, she would have at least be thankful for the way he had courted her back when they were still in school. Only now did she know that a man could change so mercilessly. If Ning Ziyuan had helped her then, she wouldn't have had to beg Qin Chu. In the end, she was left with no other choice but to marry Qin Chu. At the end of the day, Ning Ziyuan had become a catalyst for the way things have become. Now that it came to this, Huamian really had nothing left to say to him. Hearing Huamian's words, Ning Ziyuan became somewhat embarrassed. Then, he coughed before speaking, Mian, I didn't expect this to happen. Back then. I was mad with jealousy too. We've been together for more than 3 years. You should know how I feel about you. It's not that I didn't want to help you. I heard that Jixin's surgery was paid for with money you borrowed from somewhere else. I'd like to help you pay that back. I can sell the apartment and the car. Your family is my family and Jixin is my little brother. Can we go back to? Before Ning Ziyuan had a chance to finish, Huamian cut him off. We can't, Nav Om, Mian, are you really not going to give me another chance? Ning Ziyuan begged. Huamian lifted her head. Looking into Ning Ziyuan's eyes, she said clearly, all I know is, when I had no choice but to ask you for help when my brother was lying in a hospital bed waiting for money to save his life, you were in the home we paid together screwing around with another woman. Ning Ziyuan, I'm not that dumb, and you aren't either. Please, stop clinging to our past. You didn't help me, and I don't blame you. But now, the way you're trying to act nice after the fact, it's disgusting. Huamian's words left Ning Ziyuan with nothing but shame. At the same time, he was surprised. To him, Huamian had always been a gentle girl. Why was she now so sharp-tongued? She seemed like a different person. Her words cut him like knives, leaving him unable to respond. Mian. I think you've changed, Ning Ziyuan said after a long moment of hesitation. Huamian smiled faintly at his remarks. Chapter 74. The Real Her. You are listening at NovelFull.audio. Translator. Noodletown Translated Editor. Noodletown Translated, you're wrong. I didn't change. I have always been like this, which means, these past few years, you never really gotten to know me at all. You loved the woman you created in your mind, not the real me. In truth, Huamian wanted to say this a long time ago. When she first met Ning Ziyuan, she had already painted herself as the most ordinary girl. After her relationship with Qin Chu, which was already etched in her memory, her heart had been as peaceful as the ocean for a long time. Therefore, the gentle, understanding, and smart woman that Ning Ziyuan saw wasn't the real Huamian. Humans were the smartest animals in this world. Sometimes, the person you saw was just the one she wanted to show you, rather than who she really was. Only Qin Chu knew who Huamian really was. She was a quick-witted, smart, and sharp-mouthed girl who turned her nose up at everything. Just the way Zhu Lingling described her. That was the real her. Unfortunately, she never let Ning Ziyuan see her real side these past few years. Now that they broke up, he finally had a chance to see the real her. How ironic. Ning Ziyuan seemed like he still wanted to say something. Enough. You don't have to say anything else. I get it. When my daughter came to you for help, you were messing around with another woman in your apartment. Now you've come to repent because you heard that Jixin has recovered, and the operation fees are paid off. You are not a man. Before, I thought that, although you haven't achieved much, at least you were honest and genuine. Now I see your true colors. You are nothing but a dishonest person who only likes to contribute after the fact. Don't go around sighing here and there, it annoys me. Get out. Since you two already broke up, I am no longer your soon-to-be mother.in law, nor is Jixin your brother. Auntie. Get out and take your insincere guilt basket with you. After they finished talking, Yang Meirong stood up, picked up the gift basket, and pushed it, along with Ning Ziyuan, out of the room. Mom, well done. You really vented Huamian's anger. Jing Jixin gave her a thumbs up. Yang Meirong glanced at Huamian coldly. In the future, pick a better man. This one was trash. I got it. Mom, I'm going back to my department for now. Don't wear yourself out. The caretaker is going to be here soon, so you should go home and get some rest. Walking out of the patient's room, Huamian felt restless. Although her mother was not nice to her, she was clearly on her side, defending her in front of Ning Ziyuan. But how would her mother react if she found out that not only was she secretly involved with Qin Chu again but was also now married to him? She would strip off her skin. Even though Uncle Jing's death had nothing to do with Qin Chu, his death was caused by the Qin family after all. Thinking of this, Huamian's chest felt tight. She had no clue how to keep on living with Qin Chu. After Uncle Jing's death, she felt guilty for 7 years. She gave up on opportunities to go study overseas and chose not to attend the best medical school in Jing City. She stayed home and became the most ordinary person. But still, she couldn't ditch that guilt. What killed her the most was that she didn't hate Qin Chu that much. She felt like she let Uncle Jing down. 9 p.m. Huamian had taken a shift for her colleague. Exhausted, she changed into her clothes and walked out of the hospital. She looked down and took out her phone. It had died in the afternoon, and she had to charge it with her portable battery pack. As soon as her phone turned on again, she began receiving a ton of missed call notifications, and a text message. What time do you get off? I thought you weren't on the night shift today. Why haven't you gone home yet? It was from Qin Chu. Huamian yawned and tried to respond to that message. Then, she heard a piercing screech from car tires speeding straight at her. She lifted her head, but the lights were so bright in her eyes that she couldn't open them. The only thing she knew was that a huge car was coming towards her at a surprisingly high speed. Huamian. Someone yelled out her name. Chapter 75. Danger. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Translator. Noodletown translated editor. Noodletown translated. Huamian didn't have enough time to react. She just stood there like a deer in headlights, trying to block out the light with her hand. It didn't occur to her that she was standing in the most dangerous spot. If this car came, it most likely would squash her. She didn't get to respond after she heard someone calling her name. Huamian only felt something suddenly bump into her, and she was sent flying. Her ribs were throbbing. The next time she opened her eyes, she found herself lying in a soft embrace. Qin Chu, when did you get here? Huamian was still frightened and a little stunned. Why did he show up right here, right now? Qin Chu held Huamian tight. They laid on the road next to an electric pole, their bodies close together. Are you all right? Qin Chu's voice sounded a little hoarse. Heavens knew that, in that second, his heart almost burst out from his chest. Yeah, Huamian stuttered slightly. Then she stood up and checked her wounds. She realized that other than Qin Chu hurting her ribs when he crashed into her, there were no other injuries. When she turned around and looked at Qin Chu, she was a little shocked. "You hurt your hand." "I'm fine, it's just a little scratch." "No, let me wrap you up. Otherwise it will get infected." Huamian pulled Qin Chu towards the hospital. "We have a first aid kit at home, you can help me out there." After he finished talking, Qin Chu tightly flipped his hand over to grab hers while saying, "It's late. Let's go home." Then, he took Huamian's hand and took her to that white, low-key, Volkswagen CC. The two of them got in the car. In the passenger seat, Huamian struggled for a while before asking, "Just now, why were you there? Shouldn't you be asking why that car suddenly accelerated in front of the hospital?" Qin Chu answered with another question. "Answer my question first. I couldn't get a hold of you and you didn't text me back. After I got off work, I came to the hospital to wait for you. What time did you get here?" Huamian turned to look at Qin Chu with surprise. 6. "So you waited from 6 to 9. Huamian couldn't believe it. "Yes. You were just waiting in the car." "Yes. You are so." Huamian didn't know what to say. She wanted to say Qin Chu was a fool, but clearly he wasn't. "You're lucky that I came. Otherwise you would have been run over." Now Huamian understood. Qin Chu came to pick her up and was in the car the whole time. When he saw her walk out of the hospital, he got out of the car to call out her name. But right at that second, a truck came out of nowhere. In that moment of life or death, Qin Chu dashed over, tackled Huamian, and dodged the big truck. They both fell safely to the curb. At that moment, they had almost crossed the thin line between life and death. "Do you know that you almost died?" Huamian asked, staring at Qin Chu. "I only know that if I didn't do what I did, you would have died," Qin Chu answered calmly. "Was it worth it?" Huamian's eyes started tingling. She turned her head to look out the window when she asked him this question. "It was very much worth it. You are such an idiot. You're the Prince of GK, whose net worth is in the hundreds of millions. Why would you risk everything to save a nurse intern?" Qin Chu leaned in. He stared into Huamian's eyes and said slowly, "At that moment, it was simply a husband saving a wife. Don't overthink it. Qin Chu. Don't you think that us together was a mistake this whole time?" Huamian asked gently. Having heard this, Qin Chu's hands slightly froze on the steering wheel. Chapter 76. Memories. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Translator. Noodletown translated editor. Noodletown translated. After a while, Qin Chu answered slowly, "All I know is that the 7 years apart from you was the biggest mistake of my life." These words thudded in Huamian's heart, as though something was softly broken. She didn't know what it was, maybe it was the walls surrounding her heart. Then, they both remained silent for the rest of the trip. It was only 9:20 p.m. when they got back to Imperial Park. Qin Chu helped Huamian get out the first aid kit from the cabinet in the living room. Then, they sat on the couch as Huamian carefully dealt with Qin Chu's wounds. Qin Chu didn't just hurt his hands, his knees were scraped as well, blood was seeping through his expensive pants. "It's done. Don't let it touch water for a couple of days. Keep an eye on it when you shower." Huamian reminded him. "Got it. And, take off your pants. I will wash them for you." "It's fine. These can be dry cleaned." "Fine, go get some rest then." "I'm a little tired and want to go to sleep now," Huamian said as she headed for the stairs. "Mian, I'm a little hungry." Qin Chu's words stopped Huamian in her tracks. "What do you want to eat? Anything sounds good." Qin Chu looked into her eyes. Huamian didn't want to make eye contact with Qin Chu. She turned her head around and walked towards the fridge. She opened the fridge to see it filled with vegetables and fruits. It seemed like he prepared them ahead of time. Huamian took out some egg noodles and a bunch of lettuce. Then she walked to the kitchen. 20 minutes later. She brought a steaming bowl of egg noodles with lettuce out from the kitchen and set it on the coffee table. Eat it while it's hot. You're not going to have any. I already ate during my shift. I'm not hungry. Then, Huamian turned around and went upstairs. Chin Chu sat on the couch, grabbed the chopsticks, and slowly began eating the noodles. Memories began surfacing in his mind. Chin Chu, this shop's noodles are not good. How dare they charge 15 yuan for a yucky bowl of noodles? It's crazy. Next time, I'll make you some. I make good noodles. Yeah. If one day we lose our jobs, you can open a noodle restaurant to support me. Do you think I would let a man who lives off a woman be my husband? As long as I can be your husband, I don't mind living off a woman. They created a lot of beautiful memories 7 years ago. There was a lot of street food behind their school. Chin Chu loved noodles, so Huamian always went with him. They visited many stores but found nothing good. That's how that conversation happened. Back then, Chin Chu thought that he and Huamian would be with each other every day, so he would have many opportunities to try her noodles. Little did he know that he had to wait 7 years for that to happen. Time was heartless. So many beautiful things could only be preserved in memories. Although tonight he set his life aside to save her, she still kept him at arm's length. He knew what was on her mind. He could see the conflict, unease, guilt, and fear in her heart. But, as long as he could be with her, he was willing to sacrifice everything. His wish was very simple. As long as she was well. His thoughts came to a halt. Chin Chu started to swallow down the noodles quickly and finished the soup. He didn't remember how the noodles tasted, but he knew that these were the most delicious noodles in the entire world. It was because Huamian cooked them. Upstairs in the bedroom. Huamian lied on her bed, physically and mentally exhausted. Chin Chu got hurt because of her. She wasn't heartless and didn't overlook what happened. But, as soon as she thought of her mother's words, she immediately started to feel conflicted. Ding, she got a WeChat message. Huamian slowly picked up her phone. As expected, it was from Zhu Lingling. Recently she was on the East Coast route and hadn't been back to Sea City. Huamian was actually not used to the tranquility without a boatload of messages from Lingling. Mian, I'm back. Come out and have a drink with me. I've been working like a dog these past few days. Huamian smiled softly and responded, no way, no dog is this tired. Zhu Lingling was speechless. Then, Huamian sent her another short message. Lingling, I got married. After seeing these 4 words clearly, a shocked Zhu Lingling immediately jumped out of her bed. Chapter 77. Plan. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Translator. Noodletown Translated Editor. Noodletown Translated, girl, are you kidding me? No, I am being completely serious. Who did you marry? Wei Dong or Ning Ziyuan? It never occurred to Zhu Lingling that Huamian would marry Chin Chu. Neither of them. Girl, who is it then? Did you get engaged hot-headedly? Isn't Jixin still in the hospital? How could you have the heart to get married? Did your mental health deteriorate because of the stress? Don't worry, psychologists say that whatever you do while you're insane can be nullified, like a murderer can be pardoned if he was insane at the time. It doesn't matter who you married impulsively, as long as you go and get examined tomorrow, you can get a divorce. Don't worry about it. Lingling, I wasn't being impulsive, it wasn't an insane decision, and I'm not out of my mind. Girl, don't scare me. I've only been gone for a few days. How can you drop a bomb like this on me? I married Chin Chu. Who? Chin. Chin Chu, which Chin Chu? Don't tell me you're talking about the hottie from our class. Who else could it be? Holy F *CK, let me calm down, I can't digest this information. You actually got married to Chin Chu. This isn't a prank, right? No, April Fool has passed already. Don't lie to me, is this true? Clearly, Zhu Lingling questioned the validity of the information. It's true, I swear. That's wonderful, girl. Congratulations, you're finally with the man you love. Zhu Lingling had a touch of madness in her composition, but she knew Huamian best. Other than Chin Chu, there was no other man in her heart. People like Ning Ziyuan were rebounds that Huamian used to escape her feelings. Zhu Lingling always felt like Ning Ziyuan was not good enough for Huamian, indeed, he wasn't. After all this time, Huamian got back together with Chin Chu. Things seemed to go back to how it was 7 years ago. She was truly happy for Huamian. Lingling knew how much Huamian loved Chin Chu, even if she never talked about it. Lingling, don't congratulate me. I was forced into marrying him. Then, Huamian explained the entire story to Zhu Lingling. After hearing that, Zhu Lingling lost all of her excitement and calmed down. Mian, what do you plan on doing now? Your mom and Chin Chu's parents will find out sooner than later, you guys won't be able to hide it for too long. Once you get pregnant or get stalked by the paparazzi, your marriage will go public. Chin Chu isn't a normal person, he's the Prince of GK. He can't hide his marriage, it'll be exposed eventually. How do you plan to deal with it? After some thought, Huamian replied, Lingling, to be honest, I don't plan on staying with Chin Chu. We're not meant to be together. So I think that after a while, I'll file for divorce. Divorce? You're crazy, why would you want a divorce? I don't get it. You love him and he loves you. Why can't you guys just be together? Lingling, so much has happened between the two of us. We can't go back. I don't know why Chin Chu wants to marry me, and I guess he's still salty about me breaking up with him 7 years ago. Men are all the same, they always want what they can't get. Maybe he won't be like this anymore after he gets tired of me. I don't think Chin Chu is like that. Mian, there's something that you might not know about. Chin Chu personally invited Ms. Yao back from New Zealand for our last reunion, and it was her who personally called you. It's clear how much he wanted to see you. So what? Too much happened over the last 7 years. Uncle Jing can't come back to life, and I don't want to anger my mom again. Anyways, I'll cut ties with him before our marriage is exposed. Mian. Zhu Lingling had a feeling that Huamian was too mentally stressed. She had only been married for a few days but was already thinking of divorce. If Chin Chu knew what she was thinking, wouldn't he be heartbroken? Chin Chu's previous speculations were correct, she really was going to burn the bridge, wasn't she? Their marriage was just a plan that went to her advantage, and Huamian knew that it was unfair to Chin Chu. But was this world ever fair? After WeChatting Zhu Lingling for a while, Huamian became drowsy and fell into deep sleep. Midnight. Chin Chu silently entered and tucked Huamian in. Standing beside the bed, he looked at her with a warm gaze. He wanted nothing more than to lean down and kiss her, but he was scared that she would wake up, which would make the situation awkward. He silently looked at her for a while before quietly leaving Huamian's room. His gaze became cold again as he took out his phone and dialed a number. Gao Ran, investigate the license plate, HC 9649. It's a blue semi that appeared at the entrance of the first hospital tonight at 9. Check the surveillance cameras, the registered car owner, and where it went. He had a super-competent memory, and he called Gao Ran because he needed to know who was dumb enough to target his girl. Chapter 78. Premeditation. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Translator. Noodletown Translated Editor. Noodletown translated, Bro, what are you doing in the middle of the night? Gao Ran was only semi-conscious on the other side of the phone. That's all. I want the info by tomorrow morning. Without waiting for Gao Ran to reply, Qin Chu hung up. The next morning, when Huamian woke up, she was surprised that Qin Chu was still at home. For as long as she could remember, he would always leave the house before 7. Seeing him so early in the morning caused her to look away in awkwardness. Especially because Huamian's face was unwashed, and her hair was messy. You're not at work yet. There's not much to do today. Qin Chu sat at the dining table and was reading an economics newspaper. On the table were 2 servings of breakfast. Thought they were Western dishes again. To be honest, Huamian was a little tired of Western food. But he made it out of good intentions, and if she didn't eat it, it would seem a bit insincere. You seem to like Western-style breakfast. Huamian slowly asked. Qin Chu put down the newspaper, looked at her and replied, I don't know how to make Chinese food. Huamian was speechless. No wonder he always made Western-style breakfast, and spaghetti and steak for dinner. He had no idea how to make Chinese food. I'll cook from now on. No, I'll find a maid. My food isn't horrible, trust me, Huamian explained. I didn't marry you so that you can cook. I don't need my wife to do anything, just do whatever that makes you happy. Huamian really wanted to tell Qin Chu that doing so would spoil her and make her arrogant. However, those words didn't seem appropriate as their relationship was a little weird. Is your injury better? Remember to keep it dry. Qin Chu nodded. I'm done, I'm going to get ready for work. I'll drive you. Huamian stalled for 20 minutes, but when she came out, Qin Chu was still waiting for her. He drove Huamian to the hospital in his low-key Volkswagen CC before going to the GK headquarters. It was rush hour, and many employees saw their boss drive a Volkswagen CC with their own eyes. At first, some people thought that the car belonged to Assistant Yang, but their jaws dropped when their boss came out of it. Someone quietly muttered, what fashion trend is the president trying to pull? If my eyes are right, that's a Volkswagen CC, not some expensive luxury car. Another replied, maybe the president is planning to cooperate with Volkswagen. Are we manufacturing cars again? I don't think so. Perhaps the president got tired of luxury cars and wanted to try something new. I think that's it. Or maybe the president wants to give the car to one of the departments as a bonus. The employees gossiped while Qin Chu went about his day. Inside the president's office, Qin Chu was reviewing documents when Gao Ran called. Did you find anything? He asked. Of course, your bro is the captain of the criminal police squad, and I don't get paid for nothing. I found so much that it's scary. The car almost hit someone yesterday in front of the hospital, and I took a look, it was you and Huamian, right? Gao Ran asked nosily. Get to the point, where did the car come from and who does it belong to? The car owner is Wu Shikai, owner of Hongtai Logistics Company, but he's out of the city. The driver yesterday was one of his employees. His name is Wang Li, 32 years old, unmarried, an alcoholic, with a criminal history of petty theft, and seems to be a bad person overall. I don't know why he would appear in front of the hospital last night, maybe he was drunk, Gao Ran analyzed. Impossible, he wasn't drunk, it was planned. He was there to kill Huamian. Why would he kill Huamian? Gao Ran was surprised, how could a girl like Huamian have created enough hatred with someone to warrant a planned murder? Let me investigate the rest. Talk later. After speaking, Qin Chu hung up. President Qin, the meeting is in 10 minutes, Assistant Yang reminded him. Cancel the meeting, I have something important to do. I won't be seeing anyone this morning or signing any documents. Yes, sir. Knowing the president's personality, Yang immediately let the other staff know. Chin Chu picked up his phone, and he hesitated for a moment before dialing a number. Rick, I need your help. Come to the GK headquarters in an hour. Hanging up, Chin Chu walked up to the French windows in his office, looking at the traffic outside with an icy expression. Someone dared to harm Hua Mian, they must be out of their minds. Chapter 79. Punishment. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Translator. Noodletown translated editor. Noodletown translated. Chin Chu gave him an hour, but Rick was there in 20 minutes. A red Ferrari parked in front of GK headquarters and a tall man wearing a black leather jacket stepped out of the car. His presence caused a buzz at GK as his strikingly handsome Chinese-French features attracted everyone's attention. Inside the office of the president. Hey, Chin Chu, it's been a while. Have a seat, Chin Chu said as he walked over to the wine cabinet and poured 2 glasses of red wine. He then handed a glass to Rick. You must have called me for something important. What's up? Rick asked with a smile as he swirled the glass in his hand. He had known Chin Chu for many years. Even though they rarely contacted each other, they had a close relationship. Friendships between men were different from that of women. Men would not get together for tea or afternoon shopping. But when it was needed, they would always appear. Rick's mother was a French aristocrat while his father was a local entrepreneur. Of course, his father was only an entrepreneur on the surface. Their family owned a 5-star hotel chain and the most luxurious club in the city, Seductive Fox. In fact, Rick's family was technically a part of the mafia. A high-class mafia that looked normal from the outside. Chin Chu sat across from Rick and looked down at the glass of red wine in his hand. Then, he slowly said, Hongtai Logistics Company, Wang Li, male, 32 years old. You want me to kill him? Rick asked, and a smile appeared on the corner of his mouth. Chin Chu shook his head. Last night, he drove a truck outside of the city hospital and intentionally tried to hit someone. There must be someone behind him. I want you to help me find out who sent him. What should I do after I find out? Kill them all. That's not necessary. I will make them wish they were dead, and let them have a taste of their own medicine. Anyways, I don't want any loose ends. Chin Chu was very worried about Hua Mian's safety. After pondering, he decided to ask Rick to solve the problem. Okay, leave it to me. Thank you. Chin Chu nodded thankfully when he saw how loyal Rick was to their brotherhood. Don't thank me. You helped me resolve my older brother's issue back in the States. You can let me know whenever you need me, Rick said as he drank up all the red wine. He then got up and patted Chin Chu's shoulder. Okay. Oh yeah, what did this guy do to you that you had to ask me to settle it? Rick was quite confused. Chin Chu could take care of a small problem like this in a matter of seconds, so why did he ask the violent mafia to intervene? Because, they almost hurt the person I care about the most, Chin Chu answered slowly. The person you care about the most. Oh, I get it, I see how it is. It seems like you two are back together now, congratulations. Rick smiled before turning around to leave. Anyone who knew Chin Chu for many years would know that there was only one woman that Chin Chu cared about. First Hospital. During Hua Mian's lunch break, while she was drinking water in the lounge, the terrifying scene from yesterday suddenly flashed before her eyes. If Chin Chu had not pulled her away, she would be dead. That huge truck was traveling very fast, even though there was a sign outside of the hospital that prohibited cars from speeding. But that person still did. Was it as simple as drunk driving? In the past, Hua Mian would not think too much about it. But after refusing to settle, the lawyer, Mr. Luo did threaten her a few days ago. Hua Mian was worried. Mr. Luo's warning was already very clear. Her ignoring what he said didn't mean that they wouldn't take actions against her. It seemed like they had taken action. Huamian's hand curled into a fist. She thought to herself, this society is so unfair. They were in the wrong. It was their son who was driving drunk and hit the others. However, they refused to accept punishment and openly terrorized the family of one of the victims. If she were run over yesterday, the traffic police would treat it as an ordinary traffic accident. Huamian would receive compensation of a few 100,000 yuan, and the matter would be put to sleep. At that thought, Huamian felt her a chill down her spine. Then, her phone rang. "Where are you?" Qin Chu's magnetic voice sounded over the phone. Chapter 80. Afternoon Tea. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Translator. Noodletown Translated Editor. Noodletown Translated. I'm at the hospital. I'm outside the hospital, can you come out? Do you need something? Huamian's tone was distant. She was very conflicted. She did not want to become too close to Qin Chu, but they lived under the same roof, so it wasn't like she had a choice. Yes, Qin Chu said with a serious tone. Huamian looked at her watch. She had 20 minutes before she had to get back to work. There was still time. Thus, she stood up and walked towards the hospital entrance. As soon as she got there, she saw Qin Chu, leaning against the unassuming Volkswagen CC. Huamian hesitated for a moment before walking over slowly. Qin Chu handed her a plastic bag. Here. What's this? Huamian asked, a bit concerned. Afternoon tea. Thank you, Huamian said as she took over the bag and nodded in gratitude. What did you need me for? Tell me quickly. I need to get back to work soon, Huamian asked. She didn't know why he made a special trip to the hospital at this hour. I just wanted to give you your afternoon tea. Huamian was speechless. That was it. He spoke so seriously that she thought he had something important to say. Little did she know that for Qin Chu, everything related to her was important. All right, if that's everything, I'm going to head back in. 1 second, Qin Chu said. Huamian looked back at him. Gently, Qin Chu used his hand to place her bangs behind her ears. Huamian's face blushed almost instantly. She looked like a girl who had just fallen in love. All right, go back to work. I can't pick you up after work today, some company business needs to be taken care of, so I won't be home until later, but I will send someone to pick you up. They will give you a call then. It's okay, I can take the bus since the hospital is so close to home. No matter what she said, Qin Chu acted like he didn't hear anything and got into his car. Huamian sighed and returned to the hospital with her afternoon tea. Inside the lounge. She slowly opened the bag and saw a box of pink macarons, a box of puffs, a cup of coffee in a box of mixed fruits, with honeydew, watermelon, strawberries, and grapes. It was beautifully packaged and the ingredients were all very fresh. Wow, isn't this food from 37 degrees? It's super expensive. I heard that a cup of coffee is 300 yuan. Huamian, you're so lavish. Tell me, did you win the lottery? Huang Yu exclaimed when she saw the packaging on the box. No, this is a gift. I would never buy anything this lavish. Huamian had heard of 37 degrees. It was one of the most high-end coffee shops in the city and specialized in afternoon tea. It was mostly frequented by socialites since ordinary people could not afford it. A cup of coffee was 300 yuan, and a serving of iced cream was rumored to be 500 yuan. The prices were sky high. The things Qin Chu bought must have cost at least 1,000 yuan. It was almost the same amount as her living expenses each month, yet Qin Chu bought her afternoon tea with that amount. Huamian felt her heartache. It might have been because she was used to being frugal after all these years. A gift. Is someone trying to win your heart? Tell me, who is it? Huang Yu said with a mysterious smile. No, it's a gift from my friend, the flight attendant. You know her. Huamian could only use Zhu Lingling as an excuse. Then, she shared the food with the other nurses in her department. Everyone enjoyed it. Just as she was about to get back to work, a male doctor knocked on the door and asked, "Is Huamian here?" "I'm Huamian," Huamian said as she wiped her mouth and got up. "Here, this is for you." The doctor suddenly took out a bouquet of roses, leaving her stunned. But she didn't know this fellow at all. Could someone tell her what was going on?